Hello everybody, this is Cassidy Bisher with Oshiva.com. Today I'm here to guide you through our fantastic web browser animation and computer screen text After Effects template to show you how to edit text and drop in your own website screenshot or website screen capture video, which can be a little more visually interesting. So you can see I have the project open, but I think it's important to show you how to open the After Effects file if you're a newbie. So you can see there's two different folders. One is the widescreen edition. Second is the vertical video for TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook story resolution. So I'm working with this file. This is what I have open here, and I'm going to drop in an asset. This can be an image of your website or a screen capture, a whopping 9.51 gigabytes of a screen capture. I'm going to drop this into my assets folder. And you'll see a bunch of comps here in the browser animations master timeline. If we go to the beginning, you can see some typed on computer text. This is all editable, by the way, but first let's get to the most important elements and purpose of this tutorial. I'm going to use the web browser animation camera option 1. Composition, you can double click, or you can also find these by right clicking and revealing the layer in the source project. And you'll see, bam, it shows you where this composition is. So there's always a couple ways to get to that. If you ever get lost, I always come back to the browser animation timeline. So let's double click. You can see place website screenshot here. So I'm going to double click. Go back to the beginning here, zoom in, press the period key to zoom in, comma key to zoom out, by the way. And you can see here's my browser screenshot of the Oshiva website. I'm just going to hide that or delete it. And you can see I have some text layers here that I was using for the promotional material. You won't see that here. Place website screenshot here. So I'm going to go back to my video folder, drop in my screen capture video. Again, this could be an image. Got to use your imagination here. So if we drop it in, you can see we've got this white shape layer behind it. That's just to give the illusion of a blank browser window. So if we go back to the master timeline, we can see our video screenshot has been updated. So we'll just play it here. So you can see right about at this time, when the mouse pointer clicks and reveals, that's when our video screenshot, our video capture is revealed. So I'm going to double click here. I know that the portion of this screen capture is going to be showing right about 7 to 8 seconds. So if I double click this placeholder, place website screenshot here, comp, I'm actually going to scale this up so I'm not seeing some of the details that just don't matter. And I can always go back to that comp here once it's open. So I'm going to click on the master timeline. You can see it's looking a little better now. I could adjust this by moving the position of the video vertically. So I'm going to do that and just cut off the rest of this because it's not super clean. All the way up here. So that's looking a little better. Animates and clicks. So you can see we're not seeing much right now. I think it would be really cool. I started just browsing on the screen capture. This is my production company's website. So to give you a little context, I do live production and animation under the name Drop Drop. This is just our brand's website. So I actually might want to pick a more interesting point here when there's a little bit more action going on. So maybe that moment right there when I scroll. I'm going to move this. We know it happens at about 7 to 8 seconds. So we go back, click. Okay. Let's go back here. We want that move to happen right about there. Maybe scale this up a little bit too. Move this over. Down. So that move happens there. You can see there's a video playing here of a 3D animation. Slides. Slides again. I'm going to hit B on my keyboard and N to adjust the locators. So when I hit 0 and RAM preview this, it won't preview the whole timeline. I'm going to hit 0. Browser animates. URL animates. Click. And it's taking its sweet time because it's a very hefty Apple ProRes 444 render. So I can already see some things that need to be modified. First of all, the bottom of the website is cut off. So I need to scale that up a little bit. But where I want the website to scroll down is in a good spot. So if we click, boom, it lands, and then scroll down a little bit, boom. Well, maybe it's not so hot. Right when this sucker lands here, I want it to scroll down. So I'm going to, again, adjust the movement to happen a little quicker here. Right about there. Okay, here we go. Let's see if this worked. Let's see if this adjustment worked. Up and out. So that's a little better looking. So next we want to adjust the text placeholder, which is right down here, just above the website screenshot comp. I'm going to double click, hit period to zoom in, and you'll see our cursor and our custom text. So I'll double click and type in dropdrop.com. And you can see the cursor moves as I type the phrase. So this doesn't need to be animated. If I hit EE, that'll reveal our custom expression, which controls the position of the cursor based on the horizontal length of our URL right here. you can always adjust the cursor position by customizing the script. So if I put in 200, the sucker's going to jump way over to the left. I'm going to undo that. If I put in, let's just say 96, it's just going to bump over a little bit. So that position is always adjustable. So is the font. Now my brand's font is GT Walsham bold. So now if we were going to preview this, you can see our cursor moves and is perfectly adjusted by the amount of characters we input. Pretty cool expression. Let me go back to the master timeline. You can see our text has been updated. Now, once you do that, it's important to note all the rest of your compositions are, in fact, updated, which each composition has a custom camera angle, which there are 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, what about brand colors? Well, yeah, it'd be nice to use some of the identified brand colors in DropDrop's brand. So let me open up the assets folder, and of course this, you won't see this, but you can always import your own color reference file. I'm going to import this as footage, and you can see here we have the DropDrop brand colors. Now, we built this color control composition for the purpose of easily changing the color theme in this template. So I'm going to drop this in just for reference so I can have it in the same comp. Hit period to zoom in. Now, what I want to do is click Color Control 1. Come up here to the pointer. Select the color that I want, Cobalt. And let's check the timeline. You can see the color has now changed to Cobalt. All the comps have changed to Cobalt. I still got to fix this here. That looks really shoddy. We'll fix that after this color control has been tweaked. What about the cursor? Well, let's go back to the website address, comp. By the way, you can hold down the space bar. That gives you a little Mickey Mouse hand and drag around your comp, which is a lot easier than using the scrolling tools that don't exist. Anyways, you can see this cursor here is controlled by this color expression. So this is just referencing this color control over here. So what I want to do is click color 2, and how about we use kind of a sky blue color for our cursor. So let's go back over here. We can see our cursor has changed. Let's go back to the master timeline. You can see our cursor has changed. Let's just preview this. Hit B. Do it real quick. And N. And you can see it's set to auto, which is half resolution, which will be good. Hit 0. There you go. So 2 simple modifications and your composition, all compositions have been adjusted based on your color preference. Now you can see even the lower thirds over here, and upper thirds and middle thirds have all been adjusted with that cursor color. And our computer screen text, which by the way is super cool. To modify those, just double click. Want a cool animation. Why isn't it showing up? Well, because it's being typed on. So hit U. You can see there's some keyframes of this range selector. So if you go to about, you can see it's finished. So you probably want to type in your text around this area. Now, this effect uses a bunch of effects to mimic a computer screen. If you don't like that effect and you just want something a little cleaner, you can hide it just like that. Go back to your main timeline. So now you have a bit cleaner look here. Want a cool animation? Boom. Angle 2, angle 1? No. How about go here? So this is one way to use this template, as is, which can sometimes be quick and beneficial depending on your timeline. I generally like to import After Effects comps into Adobe Premiere or DaVinci Resolve and use these a bit more creatively. But as you can see, I've just adjusted the message here and now it becomes relevant to my website. All right, let's adjust the bottom of this. Oh, it's just the little blue guy. See? I didn't even know what was going on. It's just the little blue stroke that animated down. So if that gets in the way and you don't like that, this is just the line wipe. So the website's being wiped on with this line here. You can see it animates down to reveal the website. Animates out and then down. This little line reveals the website. So if that's the case and you like the animation of the line wipe, but are pretty much done with it when it reveals your website, an easy fix would be to just hit T for opacity, create a keyframe, move down a little bit, take it down to 0. Now your line wipe disappears. Hit B, hit N, so it only renders within this area, hit 0. So now that line wipe will disappear. Pretty cool. I'll adjust these locators here. So what's next? Well, we already talked about how to edit the computer screen text, and we talked about how to edit the browser text along with the color. So what's next? Well, we have some thirds. I always like to include thirds, so you can actually use these items in typical video projects. So I'm going to import a video clip. Multiple clips, actually. Could shift, drag in, go down to video, and they're imported. And I'm going to organize these. Take all the clips, drag them on a folder. Live action video. So to use these thirds, this is one way to do it. It's not my favorite way, but you can essentially drop in any clip, put it at the bottom, and voila, you have your thirds. There's also some optional sound effects layered here, which is really just me mashing my hands on the keyboard for several minutes and kind of dropped in and placed on strategic points of interest on the timeline. So there we go. Hit N. So it only renders within this area. So just like that, you can see we have our video and our thirds. Let's change the name here. Put Andrea Johnson. In their very cool title. Oops. And what? We'll give her the most coolest title. A title that most of us who are in the video world love. We don't want to be called filmmakers. We don't want to be called producers. We want to be called, you know it, videographer. It's the most coolest title, and I request that people call me that. If they call me a filmmaker or a producer or a director, I'm offended. We should all be called videographers. But she's a little bit more robust in her professional services. So we're going to say she's also an editor. So, oops, just like that, I got lost. But I can always go back to my master timeline. So we can see our name and title have been adjusted. Now, you can render this out just as is, or you can hide it and export this with an alpha channel, which is what I prefer to do. If I'm working in DaVinci Resolve, I don't want to bake in graphics. It's not the best workflow, because then you got to come in here and render it out with the video, and you're limited to your video's length. So if you got a talking head, you don't want that whole camera A shot to be in here on this timeline. No, absolutely not. We want to render this out with an alpha channel. So just go up to Composition, Add to Render Queue, come down here to Custom, Format Options, Apple ProRes 444 XQ. We want unmatted. Millions of colors? Yeah. Plus alpha. We don't need audio. This is going to give us that alpha channel. Hit OK. Lower third. Find your destination. Video. Lower third 1. Hit save. And render. Now let this bad boy do its thing. And voila. Now, I'm working in DaVinci Resolve, but this concept can be applied in Adobe Premiere quite easily. Let's go find that clip that we just exported. I'm going to hit Command-I to import. There's our clip. Boom, drop it in. I'm going to create a new sequence here. Lower third example. Create. Now we have blank timeline, and we have our imported lower third. As you can see, there's Andrea. Now, if we set up our render correctly with an alpha channel, we should be able to drop in any video. I'm going to put VFX, and then let's use, which one do we want to use? Let's use this one. Import our video, drop that video in, and you can see there we have our lower third imported and displayed. So the great thing about this is you can move this now. Say you want the clip to play a little bit before introducing the lower third. Well, now you have that freedom to just drag it. Oops. Now you have that freedom to just drag it. It'll come in a little later. This is why it's better to export with an alpha channel. And then you can drop in more video. Like this shot. Boom. So much more freedom that way. Now, I noticed something a little right here. This is overexposed. Easy way to correct that inside Resolve. Open up your clips. Make sure the right footage is selected, not the lower third that you just imported. Up here by clicking on clips. Create a new node, Option S. Let's go down the timeline. We can see, whoa, I can't read her name, says your client. Yeah. I know. Take the exposure down. Create a power window. Now, it's a little easier to read. Now, if you want to use typing sound effects over these lower thirds, well, I got you covered, because in the sound effects folder, I have a bunch of keyboard typing and mouse clicking movement sound effects. Let's just drag that in here. Into audio. Drag that down on my audio timeline. So these can be just, adjusted based on the length of your actual typing, the character size. So you can go frame by frame and then find a spot that works. Probably right here. So she stopped typing. Obviously, we don't want the typing to continue. Your blade tool, cut that. Our second line begins. And then we cut. And then maybe a click sound effect right there, right when it stops. All right. Maybe a music track to give it some cinematic vibes. Someday I'll be able to define what cinematic is. But in the meantime, it's an easy way to classify something that looks sexy. There. She's ready to edit. You can see I'm peeking everywhere. Well, easy, just adjust all this. Ain't no thing. So just like that, we created a lower third without having to render video inside After Effects, which is, in my opinion, the best way to work, is to render out compositions and place them inside Premiere or Resolve. So this wipes to the logo, right? you don't have to wipe to any logo. You could wipe to this sequence here that we just created with a lower third. Let's do that. So you can see we have our logo reveal here at the end, which, again, if you don't like that computer looking vibe, you can shut that off. And if you want your own logo, which let's do that really quick. Let's delete or hide the Oshava logo. Let's put in a drop logo. Come in here. Now you can see what's going on. Well, it's gray. So we can't see it when gray is on gray. Size it up a bit. I can either change its color by coming up to here, up to the effects and presets, which can be found here. Hit fill, change it to a simple white, adjust the size, come back here to the master timeline. We can see it's been updated, right? However, you could render this out and that'd be all fun. But say, this is where the value of these templates can come in very handy, is when you're using them beyond what's been provided and using human ingenuity and simple thought processing to be creative with what's been given to you. I'm going to hide the logo placeholder. All of these logo placeholders, even the noise and the additional effects. So now the browser wipes away. Well, there's nothing left in the composition except transparency. How about we render out this composition with an alpha channel? Let's see how valuable it becomes when imported into DaVinci Resolve and Adobe Premiere. I'm going to hit Control-Command-M. That's the shortcut for adding to the render queue. Go to Custom, Format. You can also make a preset, so you don't have to do this every single time. I can show you how to do that. Straight unmatted, no audio. Okay. Say I'm sick and tired of doing that every single time. I'm going to make a template. Freaking transparency export option. Can name them anything you want. So now every time you come down and want to render something with a transparency channel and an alpha channel, just come down here and you can see it's right there. Amazing. Let's change this to browser animation with alpha. Hit render. Get a cup of coffee. Okay, so you can see we successfully rendered off browser animation with alpha. Let's go back to your editing program. Come back to renders. Here's our browser animation with alpha. So, what can we do? Well, we rendered with an alpha channel. How about we take this, move this down the timeline, start with our browser animation, and reveal let's rename this browser animation, and reveal our artwork beautiful computer shot. You can see it looks like it's black. However, I can assure you it's only an alpha channel. And there's our footage. Let's take our lower third out a bit. I want to select my keyboard sound effects as I move the lower third. So I'm selecting all of these with the command button, moving these. So as our web browser comes off, we can see our awesome lower third and clips. So just like that, let's adjust this music so it comes in a little sooner. Now, I could put some typing sound effects on here, but we already reviewed that. We already went through that. But this is just another option showing you different ways that you can use this template and make it a little more unique and customizable to your solution. Okay. Going back to After Effects. Now, the only comp that you can't do that with, where you'd have to actually manufacture the split screen effect that's going on here in the lower third 3, you actually would have to import the footage into these placeholders here. So let me just do that. Because it's a split screen effect, there's not a lot of freedom here to import in. You could mimic this effect inside Resolve or Premiere. Open up the placeholder, drop it in, so you can see the beginnings of our split screen effect. Choose another clip. So there we have our split screen effect. Now you can see adjustments can be made. I would like our subject to be up this way a tad more, so we can see what she's actually doing, working on a computer. That's better. Maybe this one can come down. So I'd come to my placeholder 2, bring this down a little bit more, and there we go. So now we've created our split screen effect. Again, name can be anything. Athena Rawlings. It's interesting what comes to your conscious when you have to choose a name. I mean, that just popped in there. It could be Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Title. Let's give her a really crappy title, like director and producer. We all know videographers are so much better. This needs to be aligned center. There we go. Those adjustments are made. Let's see how this exits. So, now this is pretty cool here. So my thought was that you could come in here, render this composition out specifically with an alpha channel, which would be super cool. So let's just do that really quick. So you can imagine the split screen going away and we cut to our other video, full screen video inside Premiere or Resolve. Hit Control Command M. Go down to our awesome freaking transparency export option. Lower third 3 with alpha. Save and render. go back to Resolve. Import our clip that we just rendered out. Drag that in. So now you can see we could drop this over this clip here. And now, because of that alpha channel, that music's way too quiet. I'm losing the vibe. There we go. And as the split screen animates off, we could drop in another clip here. Boom. How about just a quick edit here? Just like that. Hear that whoa? Whoa? Kind of want that whoa to happen when that shoots off. This is way better than rendering out one final comp to render from After Effects, I think. So much more creativity here with these, with templates, is when you use them in your editing software. Right there. There, now that little woo happens when our split screen animates off. There you go. That's how I like using After Effects templates. Getting creative to give your video content a little more sizzle, a little more pizzazz, some character, and not just rendering out long movies from After Effects and then, you know, wiping your hands and saying, there, I've done something great. Really, this is a starting point, and they should be a starting point. This is how you can get creative, find solutions, and add value to your clients' video content, and just be a better service provider. Overall better artist. And just for the sake of it, I do like this ending. So let's end it with rendering just this section here. So how would we do that? We know we already used this lower third comp, right? Well, we can always just hide it. Hit the equal sign to zoom in, the space bar to give us our Mickey Mouse hand. And we'll start here. We'll hit B for beginning, so that when we do add this to the render queue, it will only render from this point, from this work area. So you can see as we're coming down. So let's edit this text really quick. We won't be too thoughtful, but we'll try to be relevant. Enlist us now! Exclamation point. At dropdrop.com. Now this is a call to action, so as you can see, it's our CTA. We always need to have a call to action. We know that. Don't just want to create art for art's sake. We have to monetize. So let's make our text a little bit bigger. Whoa, this is what I wanted to get into. Our cursor now is completely ruined. Move this down a little bit. Enlist us now. What did we scale this up as? I just hit S. Oh, I didn't scale it up. I made the character size bigger. What was it? 312? Right. 312 for this layer as well. Now, I mean, that's just really an overwhelmingly big text layer, but hey, we want to shout at our customer, our potential target audience, and also correct the size of our cursor. And there's two cursors in here. First cursor, cursor 1, is being informed by this text layer, number 8 here. So how do we change that size? Well, toggle down this little arrow, toggle down this arrow, that one, this one, that one. Make sure path is selected. Click the little square. Once that's selected, now you can drag. Make sure that one is only selected now. This one has been deselected. Click, hold down Shift, and drag up. If you didn't hold down Shift, it would do this. If you hold down Shift, it snaps. It doesn't let you at all waver to create an imperfect cursor. Well, that's good, but way too thin. Come up here. Let's take this to 20. So now it's a little thicker. That's great. Same thing with this. Need to adjust this size. Make sure we come down to our path for cursor 2. What did we say, 20? Hit path, zoom in here, click, highlight, click, hit Shift, drag up, zoom out using the comma key. Great. Go back to the master timeline, hit the subtraction key to zoom out of the timeline. So now we have our exit and our call to action. I'm just going to hit N so that now our work area has been adjusted. So we will only render what is in this work area, which is great for just rendering things out of After Effects and piecing them together back in Resolve. Much more freedom this way. Now, should we hard cut and go to a dark gray solid? No. This should animate. Hit P. Hit the stopwatch. Come down a little bit. Hit this little guy. Add a keyframe. Boom. Go back. Boom. Take this layer off screen. Where's our transparency grid? There. So now this sucker will animate from left to right. Hit Easy Ease, come over here. Drag this keyframe or this handle so that it's a quick little slide and ease in. Boom. Now, one thing to note, there is a little vignette graphic here that we've all done since 2007. Whatever, I'm using one and I like it. However, this needs to be faded on as this is animating over, because if we hard cut to this clip in Resolve, that vignette would just pop in there and look really weird. So you can see it's 24% right now. I'm hitting T for For transparency, so I'm going to hit the stopwatch to create a keyframe, go back, take this back to 0. So 2 keyframes have been created. So now the vignette is animating from 0 to 24, and our dark gray solid is animating on in a more unique fashion, which will come in handy as we're wiping over the top of our clip in DaVinci Resolve. Go back to master timeline, because we want to make sure our little TV static analog noise is rendered out. Right? And there's some sounds here too, so I'll show you how to render with sounds. Composition, add to render queue, freaking transparency export option. But remember, we need to enable audio output on. And actually, my timeline inside Resolve, I know this, is 44:16. Let's do CTA. Drop. Render. It's gonna look pretty cool. Sliding over the top of this here. You can see I've got the letterbox going on here. I'm just gonna correct that because people who've been shooting stock footage think it's great to go widescreen. Like, why? Why go widescreen? I love it in cinema. For stock? No. Looks like it's done rendering. CTA, drag this into renders. Let's drag it over and we can see our sound effects have been imported as well. I want to drag and unlink this. Clip. Unlink. There we go. How about right? There we go. Super cool. Line that audio back up. There's a slight transparency to our solid layer, which is kind of cool. We can fade that off. I think that would be cool to fade it off. Just so loud. I don't think so. There we go. Video slowly fades off. There you go. We just made a 48-second video that really doesn't mean much, but this is stream of conscious tutorial making at its finest, I hope. So thanks everybody. This is Cassidy Bisher with Oshava.com, where you can download and customize amazing Adobe After Effects templates. Perfect for your next video project. We craft studio quality After Effects templates made by industry specialists with tutorials so you can follow along with ease. Cassidy Bisher, Oshava.com.